Judging by the title of this video, you're probably thinking to yourself, this guy's gone completely mad. And you're probably right in so many respects, but let me explain. So, as the title says, I want to bench every day from now on as well. It's come on the back end of some thought. Basically, I'm always after making my workouts more frequent, my exercise more frequent, so I can get in quicker and get out quicker. So far, the bench pressing days have been kind of hit and miss because it takes so much time. As you guys saw in one of the previous videos, I work up to a single training max, and then I back off with 10 sets of 3 at 80%. Now that 10 sets of 3 at 80% takes quite a long time. And recently it's gotten quite tough to get through because I also do push-ups every day. So it's a whole lot of pressing movements in my workouts currently. So I thought I was gonna omit the 10 sets of 3 at 80% and just basically get more push-ups in and still retain the single training max every day now, because I've kind of reduced that volume of the back end with the back off work. So it's gonna look like something like this. I'm gonna front squat or back squat every day, and then straight after that I'll hit a work up to my single training max. Obviously this is not set in concrete. I'm gonna think, you know, carefully how I go and how my body recovers. If the response is good, I'll keep it. If not, then I'll go back to what I was doing before. But essentially, I think what my intuition right now is telling me is to move more towards the calisthenics side of things. Why? Because I feel like my body responds much better when I do high repetitions for the upper body. For the lower body as well, I guess I've been doing a bit more volume in terms of high reps as of recently. But I just feel a lot better. I feel like I feel out a little bit better, and my joints feel a lot happier too. So I'm going to trial this and see how it goes. Obviously, it's going to be a whole lot of more frequency for the bench press. You know, some people swear by benching once a week, and then some variation, maybe second time a week, during the second session sometime in the week. I'm going to just hit the bench press. I'm going to hit the bench press hard. I'll go every single day to a non-grinder. I'll feel it out. I'll have small increments towards the top, obviously, like I have been doing so far, and see how I go. Obviously, the key here is not to fail on any of the lifts. If it happens, obviously. But I think the main driver for my growth on the bench press, I'm hoping to be the push-ups. I think the push-ups, I'm going to concentrate a bit more in the next, coming weeks. So it'll be interesting to see whether, chasing a, high repetition push-up number how it coincides with, a low rep maximum bench press or a single. So it's going to be interesting times ahead. To me, one of the most intriguing parts of training is actually this type of experimentation, just to see how it all pans out. So yeah, I've already kind of started warming up with the squat this morning. I've done 20 and 40 kilos for 20 reps. I'll do 60 for 20 reps, and then I'll, you guys join me for the journey for the rest of the way there, and then I'll get some bench pressing. All right, let's get this 60. Whew. Can't catch my breath. So as it stands now, my bench press PR is 140 kilos. It'll be interesting how the more frequency pans out for me. Along with doing sets of 30 push-ups now. Yesterday I did 5 sets of those, so I'm kind of ramping up those that workload as well. So we'll see how it goes. I certainly feel like I'm getting bigger in the chest from the push-ups. Whether that translates to pushing power, I'm not sure. Hopefully it does. I think so far it has to a degree, but then again, like the novelty of introducing an exercise is usually quite positive, and then as that kind of noob, if you want to call it that, as that initial kind of response to the exercise wears off, usually the carryover usually wears off as well. So let's see how this pans out. I had a bit of a couple of weeks there where I didn't improve on the push-ups at all because I was doing too little volume. Now I've kind of ramped up the volume. Well, I'm thinking also that I should be ramping down the bench pressing in terms of volume. 10 sets of 3 takes a lot out of me. But at the end of it, I have all sorts of pains, and it's quite a lot of work at 80%. But the trouble with that has been I've been doing it once or twice a week, those bench press workouts, because I can't come in and get out. Like I usually need to have a pretty good kind of schedule on that day. I need to be quite free because usually those workouts take 2 hours. By the time I get through the squat, by the time I get through the bench press, it takes quite a while. All right, let me get this 84-10. All right, 100 loaded. I'll try this for 5. Bodybuilding is tough. When people say that bodybuilders take 30 seconds between sets, man, you're basically short of breath for the whole workout. It's much easier to do strength training where you take 5 to 10 minutes between sets. You perform better on those sets, but there's no cardiovascular component to it at all. Bye. Bye. Right, let's get 5 here. That was 5. Let's go 120 for 1. Man. Every time I change something in the program, I always think to myself, you know, is this going to work? How is it going to pan out down the track? And over the years, man, I've changed so many things. I've gone back to certain things. I've gone away from certain things. And the more I kind of do this, the more I think to myself that, you know, what people generally say about, you know, always changing it up and keeping the body guessing, like, it's starting to make sense why that is the case. But at the same time, like, my mind wants to think that the body wants to specialize in a certain movement. Like, the body just wants to kind of learn a skill. Now, Pavel Tsatsouline and kind of like that Eastern philosophy, they always say that you should treat strength as a skill. That makes sense to me. However, you do need muscle to be strong. You know, the nervous system is said to be operating at like a 10% for most people. You know, they say there's a lot more power to be untapped purely because of the central nervous system kind of like being not working to its most optimal kind of state. So you're getting perfect repetitions day in, day out, you know, goes towards unlocking some more of that power. That makes sense to me as well. What I don't like about the counter argument about changing things up all the time is that, generally speaking, you know, the more weight you put on, the stronger you get. Now, my belief is that I don't want to put on an unlimited amount of weight. Like, I don't want to do that. You know, there's health aspects to it. So, having that said, what's the alternative? You know, put on a bit of muscle so you look good, kind of like, you know, stay at some sort of like a decent, you know, body proportions. And then just get really skillful at select few exercises that you want to excel at. To me, that makes the most sense because, you know, if you just go for hypertrophy and just keep putting on size, mass, you're going to end up really, really big. And I don't know how healthy that is. You're probably going to outperform the skinny guy with perfect central nervous system in most occasions, but it's unhealthy. And I've said this in previous videos, but that's a turn off for me. So squatting every day, bench pressing every day seems to be like, you know, the most optimal way of getting the central nervous system to fire perfectly. All right, 120 for 1. This is where things start feeling heavy for me. Alright, hit 140, and then what I'll do is I'll stop the video and I'll put it back on kind of when I get into the thick of the bench press. What are we in? 17 minutes in. Very nice. Alright, let's hit 140. The shoulder's giving me some grief again. It's always the right shoulder. I'm externally rotating it, I think, too much. I'm cocking it back too far, kind of out this way. Maybe I should kind of cock it maybe this way, but then it gets in the way of the shoulder when I'm front racking. Something to work on, definitely. So 140 moves alright, I'll go up a bit. So I've got 160. That kind of moved alright, although the shoulder feels shitty in the front rack position. So I'll go, that's 150, yeah. So we'll go 150. I felt like the legs did alright there. Obviously I don't want to stop the video to check the form out, but it felt pretty good. The thing with front squatting is that when you unrack the buff out of the rack in some of these later sets, man, it feels so heavy on you, man. It feels like it's crushing you. But then the moment you start descending and you start engaging some of the musculature, it feels light. But just sitting there with that weight on your collarbone, man, it's very intimidating stuff. But I'm always thinking to myself, man, like, you know, now I know I'm not advanced or whatever, but like how did some of these guys have 240, 250 on their collarbones? So I know the human body can take it, it's just uncomfortable. Alright, this is 150 now. See how this goes. This is probably going to be the last set for the front squats. Just got to remember to look up and thoracically extend. Shoulder feels shit, but that moves alright as well. I'll go 160, fuck it. So this is a front squat PR, quite exciting actually. It feels good, especially thinking that I did all that volume kind of down low in the warm-up sets, you know, 20 sets with 20, 40, 60, 10 sets with 80, you know, so one would think that if I didn't do that, I'd maybe even feel even stronger at this position if I didn't do that, but don't know. Let's see how this goes. Hopefully I don't stack it. But certainly the 150 moved alright. It felt heavy on my collarbone like the 140 did. But as soon as I went down, it went up alright. I think I'm getting stronger with the thoracic spine. Like, I don't know whether I'm getting more muscle over there or not, but I feel like I can extend against the weight a little bit better as well. So it's working, you know, the boring low weight, high reps, you know, warm-ups, I guess it's paying off. So this is going to be a PR. If I get 160, this is a PR, lifetime PR for front squats. Alright, here we go. Let's go get this shit. So I felt like there was a whole bunch of rounding the thoracic spine there. Don't like to do that shit, but anyway, I got 160 up. It's my PR. Felt ugly, I don't know how it looked. So I'll check it out when I pause the video now. But I'll see you guys on the other side when I start bench pressing. Yeah, that was a bit of a grinder. But anyway, 160 went up, it's a PR. Usually PRs are not supposed to be clean, you know, clean reps. So yeah, I think what happened was the weight was too heavy for me in the front rack position, and my kind of head followed suit. The head can basically dictate your thoracic spine quite well. So the moment you see your head kind of round, most likely your thoracic spine is also going to round. And when your thoracic spine rounds, then you're going to be dropping the bar. It's going to place a lot of tension in your shoulder kind of to extend upwards. Also, another way to look at that is that I didn't have the strength in my quads, and so my posterior chain was required to kick in. For that to happen, I need to lean forward. So it's kind of like a dichotomy between the upper body and the lower body. But nevertheless, I'm quite happy 160 went up. I've already done a few warm-ups with bench press. This is 120 now. I'll hit that for a single and see where we are today. All right, let's go. That moved quite alright. Let's go 130, see how that moves. So I'm basically putting all of my eggs in one basket when it comes to my programming for the bench press. All of my working sets, all of my meat and potatoes of increasing the bench press is going to be to the push-up. So if my push-ups can do that, then I can basically conclude that push-ups, increasing a push-up max, is also going to improve your bench press. Given the fact that you're also practicing the bench press movement, i.e. bench pressing every day. So that's what I'm trying to work out at the moment. I had some crazy gains a few weeks ago when I first introduced my push-ups into the mix. Crazy gains. I did 10 kilos in 1 week. I went from 130 to 140, just like that. So I'm putting all my eggs in the basket. I really want to experiment that very thing and see whether it's actually a thing, or is it just a coincidence or some freak nature thing. Yeah, so if I can knock off 2 of my lifetime goals, 100 push-ups, you know, in a row, and, you know, eventually 180 bench press, which seems to be fantasy right now, because you know, squatting 180 is a feat in itself for me, you know, right now. Like, I can't squat 180 without really focusing. So having that in my hands is another thing. All right, so I've got 130 on the bar now. Let's see how it goes. So that kind of moved a little slow, so I'll leave it there. I will be benching tomorrow again, so I'm not gonna go for gold here. So 130 for today. 130? Yeah, 130. And yeah, this is gonna be basically day one of my bench pressing experiment, and we'll see where he takes us from there. So hopefully I'll see some gains. If I don't, I'll just back right out of it and continue what I was doing before. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.